Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital. Now before I begin, be sure to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In the 1960s, Sid Goodloe bought a tree-covered, waterless ranch. Today, it's open grassland, dotted with cows, ponds, and a flowing stream. How did he do it? We'll find out at the end of this video. But first, if you're buying desert land, watch out for arroyos. And in today's video, we have the top things you should know. Number 1. What is an arroyo? An arroyo is a walled, flat-floored stream channel that forms in fine, cohesive, and easily eroded material. These channels are most often found in the southwest. They are dry most of the year but fill with water during the rainy or flood season. Number 2. What do arroyos look like? Not all arroyos are the same, but they often appear as shallow stream beds covered in sand or mud. They may also be dried with cracks on the surface. Number 3. What causes arroyos to form? Climate is responsible for arroyos in most scenarios. Arroyos often occur when areas that typically see very little precipitation receive sudden, heavy rains, as often happens after the El Niño phenomenon. This is why they are so prevalent in the southwest. But climate is not the only cause of arroyo formation. It is estimated that arroyos are increasing at a rapid rate in the southwest due to changes in land use. In particular, land uses that contribute to overgrazing or high compaction of the soils will make it easier for arroyos to form. Finally, for an arroyo to develop, it needs not just external force and heavy rain, but the channel system must be primed for incision. If one channel in a stream system receives an unusually heavy flow, it can leave hanging valleys where a tributary enters. Over time, as future runoff events occur, these valleys become permanent arroyos. Number 4. What are the impacts of arroyos? While arroyos are natural formations, they can have negative impacts. For example, they drain marshes and swamps, alter the flora and fauna of an area, they decrease agricultural productivity by lowering the surrounding water table, and they cause flooding. And number 5. As a property owner, what can you do to prevent arroyo formation on your land? The most important thing you can do is keep as much precipitation and native vegetation on the land as possible. It's also important to avoid altering the terrain too much. In particular, don't alter the gradient of slopes and stream channels with soil removal. In a similar vein, avoid using check dams. While they temporarily trap sediment, they often worsen the problem of entrenchment and sediment in the long term. There are, however, some erosion control techniques you can use, like contour farming, using row patterns that run nearly level with the hill. Swales, boomerangs, or surge basins can all be effective, and adding mulch or organic matter is a good erosion control technique. Finally, you can also undertake full-on stream restoration if there is already an arroyo on your land. This is exactly what Sid Goodloe did. In the 1960s, Sid bought a beat-to-death ranch in south-central New Mexico. The land was dry and scrubby, overrun with juniper and cut through by a deeply incised arroyo, dry except for the occasional flash flood after a rainstorm. Sid accepted the land as it was, the price he had to pay for a cheap purchase. Yet, one day, as Sid wandered his property, he found a 600-year-old petroglyph etched into a rock. The carving depicted beavers and fish, along with a teeming village. Sid, not one given to pessimism, looked at that rock painting and saw potential. He would bring back that lost world. And indeed he did. The very first thing Sid tried was to drag a huge chain across half his property, knocking down the juniper and pinyon. Almost immediately, with the tree's thirsty roots no longer sucking up water, a trickle started to run in the arroyo. The water table rose, fed by rain and snowmelt, and grass erupted across the ground. But then it all fell apart. Not long after the chaining, juniper saplings began to sprout everywhere, for the destruction of the big trees had released the smaller ones, and soon they would consume even more water than the ones Sid had knocked down. For the next 4 years, Sid battled the trees. He burned them, bulldozed them, and popped them out of the ground with his tractor. After that, he never chained again. Today, he simply mimics the role fire used to play, periodically clearing out young trees, but leaving the oldest ones in place. Yet the trees were just the beginning. To heal his grassland, he divided his ranch into 12 paddocks, allowing him to rotate his cattle and protect the native grasses from overgrazing. With cattle kept away from the stream's banks, grasses also took hold on the steep slopes, anchoring the channel and screening out dirt. Slowly, over time, the arroyo's banks flattened out enough for Sid to bring in willows to accelerate the healing process. And this paved the way for the last stage, beavers. Sid has already built artificial beaver dams, but once the willow are mature enough, he hopes to reintroduce the critters, mimicking what many other groups have done on damaged waterways across the U.S. Even now, midway into his restoration process, Sid's work has paid off. His arroyo is no longer dry, but a full creek. And the grass it supports has allowed Sid to double his beef production without using irrigation water or imported feed. And if he can do it on a dried out old patch of desert, think about what you can do on your land. So do you have a project planned or in the works? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down properties at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.